G'day guys and welcome back to the Freo Faithful podcast, episode number Luke McFarlane. God, what a champion he was, Noah. One of the best defenders to ever put on the purple, if not the best defender. What do you remember of Luke McFarlane?
I remember actually surprisingly quite a bit of him. Yeah, what a backflip, by the way. 3 podcasts ago, you were saying he's the second best defender in the club's history. Now you're saying he's the best. Absolute backflip at its finest. So great to see you're not very strong in your opinions. But I remember Luke McFarlane's early 2010s Fremantle sort of days. Great memories of him. And the greatest Fremantle defender in our history. And an opinion I've stayed very strong on.
I never said that Luke McFarlane wasn't the best. I said that Luke Ryan is making a case to be the best.
Okay.
That's what I said. I never said that Luke Ryan's better than Luke McFarlane. And early 2010s memories, you were 5 watching Luke McFarlane put on a clinic down back for Freo?
Well, when did he retire? I want to say 2016, so I would have been about 10.
Yeah.
So, I sort of remember those days more. I remember his 2015 season. I really vividly remember him in the white jumper on grand final day. So, there's sort of some of the memories that are old Lukey.
Fair dinkum. He was a acoustic guitarist at pubs in his spare time, doing the rounds around Perth. And my mum once spilled a beer on him in an airport. So there's the Luke McFarlane chat. Freo Faithful podcast number 18 today, coming off a win Thursday night against the Dons. You were at the game. What were your overall impressions?
We'll have to go back a fair way. It's not often we play on the Thursday. It's been, 4 or 5 days already. That was our break in between the North game and the Bombers game. And now it's a long weekend that the players have been able to celebrate because it was a very good win yet again. 5 on the trot, and there's just confidence building. Like, not every performance has to be perfect at the moment. Just as long as you're getting the 4 points and you feel like you are building towards hitting the best football at the right time of year. As long as we're seeing that, and I'm sure as long as it's being seen inside the 4 walls, I think everyone's gonna be okay with it. So, yet again, I thought it was another step in the right direction. Caleb Serong, in particular, I thought took a big step with his game. Something we've criticised him on is his lack of ability to hit the scoreboard. I think it was quite evident for everyone to see that he very well sorted out that part of his game. He kicked 2 goals. I can't remember the last time he did that. And both of them were very, very good goals, so be it as well. So, I think overall, good performance. Yet again, I wouldn't really say there were any passengers. Like, there are a few you can make a case for, as always. But, I'm just liking what we're building at the moment.
I can think of a couple passengers. I'm bringing a bit of a pessimistic view to this one tonight, Noah.
All right.
I think.
All good.
I don't know why. I don't know if it's because I'm tired, but I feel like at times we get carried from the pure star power of this side. Like, Luke Jackson dominated the first gamer, but in the first quarter, Essendon were up for the fight. They didn't have anyone to tag Sarong or Brayshaw, and they just ran amok. But I didn't think we necessarily transferred the ball from back half to front half immaculately. Our midfield was really good, but I don't think our entries inside 50 were great either. And, we've beaten the Dons, we've beaten North. Like, our better wins pre-buy were, those wins. It was Port at home, Gold Coast and GWS. Like, that was our better footy that I've seen. But, I don't know. I just feel like when we come up against a good team, like if we play how we did against Essendon and North, I feel like, I don't know. I'm still not convinced just yet on the brand that we're playing. I'm happy with the win. There was great performances from individual players. But I just think we have so many levels to go. What do you reckon?
I don't disagree with that take, to be honest. I just think the one thing that sort of sits okay with me is that the good wins we've had in recent weeks, in particular the Giants and the Suns games, they both came from sort of our bottom 6 players stepping up to a really high standard, where I think these wins, such as the North wins and the Essendon wins, we've only really needed our stars to get over the line. So, I don't necessarily think we're reliant, because I think those guys, deeper down in our court are digging in when we need them to. I just think in games like this, it's not necessarily as required. I thought on the weekend it was a perfect example of what you just said. I think it was definitely star-driven, but I just don't think it was required for those guys to really step up. I think one guy that sort of separates himself from that take is Carl Warner. I'm not sure how evident it was on TV. I thought that was his best game for the Dockers. Like, that first half in particular was so good, and his ball usage ball usage is making strides week by week. So I'd say he was one of the guys that really stepped up when we needed him. But, I wouldn't say you could maybe say we're reliant, but I also think in the bigger games, it's, not just the stars stepping up. I think all 22 players are coming to play.
Yeah, well, we've got to, just on Carl Warner, yeah, he's really having a breakout year for us. We speak about his toughness a lot, but he's a player playing with a lot of confidence at the moment. Spoke on the post-game podcast on the Freo YouTube channel saying that he's always believed in himself and he just needed a good run of games to have the opportunity to prove that. Fearless player and a great addition to that sort of mid-sized Arsenal that we have with Jordan Clark and Luke Ryan, who also had massive games on Thursday night. Luke Ryan in the first half was intercepting everything. We've always loved Jordan Clark's run off half back and the meters gained that he gets for us, but his defensive game has gone to another level. He was spoiling everything. I think he had multiple holding the ball tackles. I think our defense right now is really impenetrable. I think correct me if I'm wrong, but in the last 5 weeks, I don't think we've conceded over 70. Maybe fact check me on that.
You're correct.
Conceded 63 against Essendon, conceded 67 against North, who had a good win against Carlton, which we love. We conceded 64 against Gold Coast, 51 against Port. I'm a genius. I called it. And 61 against the Giants. So defense holding up very well, which we love. And our game has always been built off the back of that. Midfield performance on the night, obviously. We're really seeing Luke Jackson just become one of the best rucks in the comp. This all-Australian ruck conversation about Gawn and Cherry. I don't know what Luke Jackson has to do more in the back end of the year if he keeps performing the way that he is. He kicked 3 goals, great goals. He kicked that set shot in the third, I think it was, and then gets the next clearance, which leads to Brayshaw's goal. Absolutely dominant. What did you see at the ground watching Luke Jackson go about his business once again?
Well, he's just such a hard worker. Like, he gets up and down the ground. He's got like similar splits to Nick Marin almost. I saw something where he was like 30% defense, 30% forward, and like 40% midfield. Like, he's got splits all over the ground. It's not like Luke Jackson's been sent down back, but yeah, he's basically seen everywhere. Like, he covers every single blade of grass. He's such a hard worker. And I think he's sort of scratching the surface of what he can really achieve with this really unique skill set he has. He's now starting to just sort of drift forward when playing that number 1 ruck role and sort of having the confidence to sort of trust his running ability, trust his athleticism, and get into those positions where he's off his man, but he can still impact the game forward of the ball. So, I think Luke Jackson's sort of been placing more faith in himself, and I think it's paying dividends massively in his football. So, I've loved Doggers' last few weeks. I think he's the number 1 rated player in the comp at the moment.
This round he was. I think over the last 6 weeks he's like number 6 or something like that.
Last 6 weeks I saw he was number 1, but that may have changed.
Right. I'm not arguing with it.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. But Dogger is in immaculate form. Look, we probably should be speaking all Australian, but where do you put him? Like, he can't really go in the ruck conversation. He can't really go in the forward conversation. If there was a utility position, he'd be locked in for that. But
chuck him on the bench.
Yeah, exactly. The form he's in at the moment is immaculate, and he's so crucial to our current success and going forward. One thing I saw in particular in the post game on Fox was Caleb Strong making a very big deal out of him not going anywhere. It feels like it's sort of a topic that's spoken about pretty loosely within the 4 walls of the club, which is like, it's expected. Like, you're obviously going to take the piss out of trade rumors and whatnot in the 4 walls, but it feels like a pretty good culture surrounding that situation in there with him, and yet again some great footy to back that up. Yeah,
saying Brayshaw, Sarong was saying him and Brayshaw, we're locking him away in East Freo, he's going nowhere. Corey Wagner's spoken in interviews saying like him and Dogger like stretched before training, and he's asked him and he's like, I don't know where the rumours are coming from, so time will tell. But he's the most important player at our club right now. I think we would lose so much of our ground ball hunt, intercept game, clearance dominance, ruck craft, forward hitting the scoreboard, like intercepting behind the ball. He does it all, Luke Jackson, genuine unicorn. And we've spoken about him in length this year, but him and Brayshaw probably the front runners for our BNF right now, I would say. Caleb Strong had a great game. He's been criticised by some people. Looking at Dylan Alexander here in particular, who just loves to hate on Sarong for some reason, but his foot skills were unreal in this game. On the left foot, that goal that he kicked in the his first goal from the boundary, and then just the composure in front of goal. Kicked a good goal against North when we needed it, and kicked a good goal in the third quarter, which I want to get onto because you were talking about covering ground there with Luke Jackson. It was so good to have Nathan O'Driscoll back in the side. Should have kicked 2. Kicked the hard goal over the shoulder, snapping it, and then he gets a free kick from 10 metres out directly in front and he misses. But, so good to have Noddy back out there. Walk up, best 22 player for us, obviously. I think a big turning point in the game was the third quarter where he goes back with the flight against Will Setterfield, gets the ball, and then that led to Caleb Strong's goal. And then after that was when Jackson kicked his goal. It just changed the momentum of the game. He's a heart and soul player. And I think those sort of trademark moments are really what gets the game on your terms. So you have moments like that where Noddy goes back with the flight. Then you have annoying moments like Shea Bolton, who had an almost game where, just missing, 20 metres out directly in front, just running into an open goal and taking too long. And that's sort of what I expected with Shea Bolton. Obviously, he's been great for us this year. But I knew that would be a part of the Shea Bolton package, is that he'll pull off the most freakish shit and then not execute the most basic stuff. Not that I'm criticizing him, but that's what I saw of him at Richmond at times. Going on a bit of a tangent there, but you see moments like Noddy going back with the flight. That gives you momentum and ascendancy in the game. And then a moment like Shea Bolton running into an open goal and missing sort of sucks the life out of it. But what did you think of big NOD back in the team?
It was great to see Noddy back in. It was sort of a weird role. I've got no idea where he played. I saw him lining up on the wing a little bit. Because of our shortage in the forward line, Banners stayed at halfback and Aish was sub. So I thought that was going to be the obvious switch, but it wasn't. So it ended up that Sharp was at half forward, Fyfe was at half forward, Noddy was at half forward, Raz was there. We had so many guys rolling through there. So yeah, Nod certainly was a bit of a Mr. Fix-It on the day, but I thought he did very, very well at just finding his way into the game. It's very hard for a player who's been out for that period of time and to come into a team that's humming and to actually make an impact and to make a positive impact, I think was really, really impressive by Noddy. So yeah, he's a much welcomed addition. Again, as I just mentioned about his role, I've got no idea what he was doing. Not in a bad way, but a lot of the time him and Sharp were on the same wing. I'd say most of the time in the first half, they were on the same wing. So I don't know what was happening there. They were linking up chains through each other, which I'm not complaining about. If it works, it works. But I think, it was bizarre.
I think what was going on was there was a 3-way. This is how I saw it on TV, and I liked it. And the next point I wanted to make with this is I think O'Driscoll playing brings out the best in Matt Johnson. It felt like they were just they must have some sort of system where they just were rotating every sort of 3 or 4 minutes, because there was times where O'Driscoll had the ball on the far wing and then he was on the forward flank and then he was in the middle and then he was on the far wing again. He was pretty much just running free. I don't know if it was to sort of draw out their wingers. No, Merritt was playing on the wing. He was getting tagged by Wagner at parts, but yeah, it was a weird rotation. But I thought, Matt Johnson, a player who is highly discussed in the Fremantle fan base, had a better game. 18 disposals, but get this, Noah, 5 kicks. Happy with that. Have your 5 kicks, 13 handballs. Disposal efficiency, 94%.
Hello? Where's that come from?
This is what we've been asking for. This is what we've been asking for from NJ. He brings the toughness. He tackles. He can put his head over the hard ball. He can intercept. He can take a good mark. He can't kick the ball inside 50. So do all that good stuff that we like you doing. Maybe he'll improve as a kick as his career goes on. But that's what we asked for, was just use the ball by hand, put your head over it. And I thought MJ didn't have a frustrating game. He actually had a real solid game on Thursday night.
How many players would you guess had a better disposal efficiency on Thursday night? Fremantle players than Matt Johnson.
0.
It was 1, but it was James Aish who was sub. So the bloke was basically our best ball user on the ground. It's such a good performance. I mean, it's definitely not Matt Johnson's forte. It's been the main thing he's been criticised for. But geez, what a sort of stride forward for him in his game. I think he's probably had two others of those games this year. So it's not like he's allergic to being able to use the ball well. It's just the consistency of it.
Well, it's easier to use the ball by hand than it is to kick it. So
Well, exactly, yeah. And I'm not sure if that was I think there was actually a question asked in Jail's presser post-game. Like, our handball to kick ratio was way different from the previous 4 wins. And someone asked if that was to do with the 5-day break or whatever and, fatigue. And I think Jail sort of laughed it off. But, like, there was a significant difference in the ratio. Like, we used handball so much more than we have in previous weeks. And that probably, I think that maybe speaks on the volumes of the opposition we played. Like, it's easier to handball chain through a weaker opposition, but it also just led to more efficient sort of football. So, yeah, I think Matt Johnson was definitely a beneficiary of that. And, I think it was a really good display by him.
The previous week sub was Nathan Fyfe, who had 100% disposal efficiency in that game against North Melbourne, all by hand. So probably a similar situation to Matt Johnson. You don't really want the ball to be in the hands of Nathan Fyfe kicking the ball inside 50. I didn't like Nathan Fyfe's game on Thursday night, Noah. As soon as I see him inside 50, I go, we've seen this before. It doesn't work. You're just taking up space. I'd rather see, Sam Sturt in that position if he comes back into the side. Obviously, he did play at times in the middle. There was a rogue midfield mix at one point for a centre bounce. It was Corey Wagner, Nathan Fyfe, and Neil Erasmus. I'm like, wow, what is going on here? Like that is crazy. But Fyfe just looked a bit lost out there, to be honest. Like, sort of thought he built into the game a bit, but yeah, we need to see him build. I don't think he's best 22. I think Jager Amira comes in. I think Sam Sturt comes in. Hayden Young's ahead of him. Obviously, he's a bit off still. But, I thought sub Fyfe is effective. Full game Fyfe is not. What did you think? I'm not putting a line through Fyfe. I think he can build. But it just felt like you see a full game. He's 10 years older than someone like Nathan O'Driscoll, and you can see that he's 10 years older than Nathan O'Driscoll.
Yeah, I don't disagree, but I also, I sort of lean both ways. I think, obviously, it wasn't his best game. I don't think he played very well. I think anyone with eyes can see that. Like, he only had 8 touches or whatnot. But I think he was a tick overall, because I think in our plans this year, he's our sub. It's either him or James Aish that will be our sub. And I think the fact that we've seen that, break glass in case of emergency. If we have an injury at quarter time at a game, Nat Fyfe can't play 3/4 of football. Like, his fitness was not an issue. It was just his skill. So I think that's a tick. He can play 3/4 of football. And I think if he's just playing 1/4 as an impact sub, he makes a big, big impact. So I think what we're going to do this year is we're going to use either Aish or Fyfe as our sub. We're not going to go for the young X factor. We're going to use it a bit differently. We're going to use an Aish or a Fyfe, maybe even an O'Meara. And we're just going to get older, experienced head out there late in the game. And I just think it suits us with where we're at as a team. Like, we're so young, as it's been widely mentioned. I think that's just the way we're going to use the sub. So the fact Fyfe can play 3/4 is good news, in case there's an injury at quarter time or whatnot. But he will be used as a sub this year, and that is his best position. So I think he's best 23. He's not best 22.
Yeah, well said. Get your comments in. Where do you guys see Fyfe at the moment? And then, forward line, again, as I said, pretty frustrating night for Shea Bolton. An entertaining second quarter when him and Vossi started getting into the Essendon players, and he gets that free kick and goes, "Oh, it was on your head, son." Almost kicked a miracle goal from the most impossible of angles, and that's what you expect from Shea Bolton. Like, you back him in to kick that more than you do from one that's 15 out directly in front. But Tracy hit the scoreboard with 3. Vossi was just playing as Vossi does. I'm losing a little bit of...
I know where you're going.
bit of patience with our mate Jai, to be honest. When is it going to happen for the boy?
I'm not gonna jump on his back this week.
I'm not putting a line through him, but it's like, come on, bro.
I'm not jumping on his back this week because last week I was saying how clean he's been at ground level recently, and I think that's been a big part in the success of Tracy and Amos and all our other smalls. So I think Jai's still playing a pretty good role for us. Like, it's very, very hard for all your forwards to be scoring goals. We hit triple figures and he didn't score a goal on the weekend. Like, it's not the end of the world. So I get where you're coming from, 100%. Like, he's a top 10 pick. Like, obviously we want a little bit more bang for buck. But I still think he's playing an okay role for us. I'm not a part of the Jai Amos fan club. Like, I'm not a bloke that rides and dies with Jai Amos. Like, I'm very open to criticism of him as a player and his spot in the team. But I think recent weeks, I don't think it's sort of the time to start criticising him. I think he's still adding great value to the team. Obviously, we still want more. But I think the forward mix at the moment is sort of working okay.
Yeah, I think it is as well. And like, we've praised Jai this year for foot skills. Like, he did set up, was it the Tracy goal?
On the inside kick, yeah, goal. It was such a good kick.
He's great at that. He does that consistently. We've praised him for being able to compete one-on-one and win important contests. But, yeah, I don't know. There's just some frustrating moments in games sometimes with Amos where he just looks off it. Had no tackles on the night. Again, I told you I was going to bring a bit of a pessimistic view to this, but I thought him and Sharp, I was just looking at them like, when we play the big teams, you can't play like this. Like, when you are coming up, like, you know, toe-to-toe, 22v22, if you have Sharp and Amos playing the way that they did on the weekend, you'll get exposed. Like, especially against a side like Collingwood, who just find a way to win, who we have to play at the MCG pretty soon. So, yeah, I think there's so much levels to go in those two areas of the ground. Like you said, there was no passengers. And, you know, we're not fair weather fans here. I want to bring a balanced view, and those guys have to be better. I don't know what it is with Sharp at the moment, but, yeah, I don't know. He sort of just goes into tackle. He plays footy how I play footy at times, Sharpie. And, you know, he's obviously an elite athlete, and I'm very far from that. But, like, you'll see Caleb Sarong go in for a tackle, and he will want to run through a wall to deck the bloke. If there's a smother that's a 20% chance of happening, Caleb Sarong will dive on the ball, throw his full body at it. Like, there's times where Sharp and Amos just give, like, a half-hearted, like, Like, they just don't fully commit, and we need that full commitment. You see that full commitment from guys like Kyle Warner. You see that full commitment from Nathan O'Driscoll as soon as he comes back in the side. You see that full commitment as a forward from Tracy and Voss. We don't
Cooper
see
Simpson.
that in Amos. Exactly. So, like, those are like the small, tiny criticisms. But when it's your time to go and you don't fully go, when there's a moment that's going to require it at a very important time of the year, and it's their turn to go, I don't know if they have it in them. I don't know if these two have the minerals right now or the confidence. Not to say that they can't get there, and key forwards, particularly like Jai Amos, do need time to develop, but I don't know. There's just too, and he's young, so don't get me wrong, but there's just too much inconsistency with him now. And yeah, I'm not really sold on Sharp, to be honest, yet. I think we can upgrade there.
I see your viewpoint. I think Amos can get there and will get there. I agree with Sharp. I don't think he will get there, and I don't think he can get there. I can just envision a big game at the MCG in the finals where Jeremy Sharp just gets swallowed up by the atmosphere. And if you're not going in 100% in contests, on a Sunday arvo against St Kilda, then I don't think he will be on a Friday night against Collingwood at the MCG. So, yeah, I do have worries about sort of his ability to step up in a big game situation. Ben Campbell sent in a question about whether we stick with him in our 22 at the moment, or we do bring in O'Meara, who played very well. I watched the Peel game on the weekend. He played very well. So I think he will probably come back in against the Saints this week. So, is Sharp the guy that makes way, and is he still a part of our best 22?
I feel like Amos and Sharp are just undroppable. Well, I feel like they are just two of JL's pets. Like, as bad as they play, he will always back them in. And he's said in press conferences when asked about someone like Neil Erasmus, like, oh, he's had a couple good games. Does that give him a good chunk of games going forward? He's like, oh, no one's spot on this side's guaranteed. But Jai Amos will get 4 disposals, 0 tackles and play the next week. It's like, yeah, I don't know. I feel like ever since Sharp has come in, he hasn't really missed a game. And I think Jager O'Meara, I don't see him as a winger. Speaking of toughness and running ability, Bailey Banfield has been unreal since he's come back in. And he's been like the whipping boy of the club for the longest time, pretty much ever since he's been drafted. But we're speaking right now about toughness and ability to compete. Banfield brings that. I think maybe it's a bit difficult to have two left-footed wingers, but if, we get someone like a Brandon Walker back, Banfield moves up to the wing and we drop Sharp. I like that. I'm not sure how well Jaeger plays the wing role because when he was playing the wing role, it was like a wing high half forward role. So I don't know what that mix is going to look like. But what I do know is there's players that I would prefer to play on the wing right now ahead of Jeremy Sharp.
Well, I think Wags, Warner, Walker, they can all rotate onto a wing if Sharp's not in the team. So I think we've got options there.
I don't think Walker's a winger. I think Wagner, yes. I think Wagner's a great shot.
I think he can rotate there. I'm not saying playing there full time, but he's got the pace to be able to be. He's got the foot skills, I think. I still think...
No, come on
I'm not saying Brandon Walker is a premier ball user.
No, you just said Brandon Walker has the foot skills and he
doesn't. I don't... How old is Brandon Walker?
Brandon Walker does not have the foot skills. Come on.
Brandon Walker is 22. We're acting like he's 29 and his career is dead and buried.
I never said that. I just said he doesn't
have
foot skills.
They were your exact words.
Mate, you can admit you're wrong when you're trying to talk nicely about a player. I like Brandon Walker. I think he's a great lockdown defender. I think that's his best attribute. Yes, he has pace, but so does Michael Frederick. And I wouldn't want to see Michael Frederick play on the wing.
Banfield can play on the wing. You can chuck him there.
Yeah. I'm saying that.
You're not all right, get rid of Walker. Chuck Banfield in there. Yes. I apologize for my previous comment.
That's all right. You can admit you're wrong sometimes, young man. You'll come to learn this as you grow older and wiser.
Don't young man me. All right. Anyway, to answer Ben's sort of question, I don't know if Jeremy Sharp's best 22. As you just said, in JL's eyes, he probably is. But I think we've also seen Bailey Banfield, we thought was the sort of JL son for the longest time. And he got dropped sort of last year, and it took a fair bit for him to come back in the team. He had to come back in a new position. So I think players are actually droppable under JL, even if we think they aren't. I don't think Amos is droppable, as much as I hate to say it. I'm not saying I want him dropped, but I think there were times this year where we were questioning his spot in the team. I do think Jeremy Sharp is droppable. I think JL would pull that cord if he needed to.
Has he been dropped before?
He hasn't, but I think he is. I don't think Amos is. Amos has never been dropped from my... He might have been. No, he's never been dropped from my memory. But I don't think he is. But Sharp is. There's just something about him.
Yeah, well, Amos did... Well, not dropped, but he was, put back into the waffle after his first game, and that's when he got that kidney injury at South Freo that day. But looking at the wing spot, I've said it before. Call me crazy. I wouldn't mind seeing Jai Amos run on the wing.
No, we saw it once and I hated it. I wanted to leave Optus. It was horrible. I don't want it.
Can mark the ball down the line. Good foot skills. Can run. Good ground level player. That's what a winger is.
Don't want it. I hate it. Hate every bit of it.
What attributes does Jai Amos not have to be a winger? Hypothetically.
The speed. I don't want a Harry Himmelberg winger. That's what you want to turn Jai Amos into. I don't want that. I want two blokes where their legs are going to fall off. I want two blokes where I can't see their legs when they're running. I want Neymar and Messi on each wing. They're not the two quickest players I could have chosen, but you get what I mean. I want some pacey boys.
So, what about a Murphy Reid? Would you like to see Murph on the wing?
I could see Murph on the wing.
But he's not got speed.
I think he can. I think he can play a wing role. I think he can.
Yeah, I think he can as well. But you're saying Jai Amos can't because he doesn't have the speed. And
I think he's got more skills up the ground. I think Murphy Reid's got more IQ up the ground.
Yeah.
So I think that makes up for the speed.
God, it's going to be so fun to watch Murphy Reid evolve, hey? Because he can play inside, he can play on the wing, but we've just chucked him in the forward line and he's been an absolute weapon for us. Yep. So it's going to be interesting to see. I think, Chapman, so important in our defense. Would love to see him on the wing.
Yeah, no, he could definitely play wing. Yeah.
So we have options there. And I don't, there's been a lot of discussion recently about a side like Essendon, for example, right? They played Setterfield, Caldwell. God, who else did they roll through the middle of the ground on Thursday? Parrish, right? Those are three players that cannot play any other position other than inside mid. And they're taking away Zach Merritt and Nick Martin, who are their two best players on ball, out because they can play half back, wing, half forward. And it's to the detriment of the team because then they're not around the contest where you want your best players. And it's like, are we only going to play Jeremy Sharp on the wing because that's the only position that he can play? I think a big part of our year this year has been like players having multiple roles. Wagner starting as a small defender, then goes and starts playing as a running half back, goes inside mid, goes on the wing. Like he's shown his versatility. We've always sort of flirted with the idea of Heath Chapman getting higher up the ground. So yeah, maybe this week against St Kilda isn't the week to do it, and we'll get into the look ahead pretty soon. But yeah, I just want to see a bit of experimentation on that wing because I'm not seeing enough improvement in that area of our game. And I've spoken about it before, but you look at guys like Amon, probably not the best example, but like Darcy Wilson probably hasn't had the best year either. Probably not a good example. Who are the best wingers in the comp right now? Like Massimo D'Ambrosio last year.
Best wingers in the comp.
Ollie Dempsey at Geelong.
Yeah, Ollie
Probably
Dempsey,
the
like
best.
the attacking winger that gets forward, takes marks, kicks snags, like
And defends.
Yeah.
Like, and takes great marks. Like, if you have every position on the ground improving every week and showing promise, that is when you are genuine premiership contender like Geelong, even though they lost on the weekend. Hugh McCluggage can play inside and out.
I was
for
gonna
one of
say
the best
McCluggage,
wingers,
yeah.
best wingers in the competition. Like, how much growth does Jeremy Sharp have to go? Can he become a tough tackling player? I haven't really seen it yet. He can hit the scoreboard. We've seen that. We spent way too much time on Jeremy Sharp here, but I just think there's.
I hope
there's
he's a listener to the
improvement
pod.
there.
He'll be over the moon with this. This is the most sort of media attention.
I don't want to be. I don't want to be a hater to any of the guys, and I'm not a Jeremy Sharp hater. I saw him play at Gather Round last year against Carlton. I thought he was one of the better players on ground that day, even though that we lost. And he's kicked great goals for us. But as the Freo Faithful channel, we can't just glaze every player. And I just think, there's spots on the ground that we can improve on. And I'm seeing the stocks rise in the forward line with Voss, Reid, Bolton, Tracy. Like, that's getting better every week. Our back six, the improvement in guys like Chapman, Clark, Warner, the leadership of Clark again. Brendan Cox has been pretty solid this year. Alex Pearce, our captain, has been phenomenal. You look at them, you know what I mean? Like, you can see the potential, like the FIFA Manager career mode. Like, the potential is like, we're at 83 right now. In a couple of years, it could be at 94. And I look at that wing spot and I go, we could invest there. Again, we've spent way too much time on this topic.
I think there is a bit of experimentation, like that we can, like as I said, Jeremy Sharp started at half forward, like a fair bit on Thursday. Like
I don't want to see that.
No, but we're that's not experimenting with the wing necessarily, but it's experimenting with him. And I'm not sure if this is just JL sort of, just trying to force him into the team, trying to squeeze him into a team he doesn't fit in with. But I don't think that our team is starved of experimentation. Like, Jordan Clark got a CBA on the weekend, or on Thursday. I think it was, like, late in the quarter. Like, keep your eye out. If there's a late game situation this year, like, Jordan Clark might be at a CBA, because I think there was about 30 seconds to go in the quarter, and he was at the back of the stoppage in there with, like, Sarong and Brayshaw. It was just sort of an extra defender or a bit of pace from the back of the stoppage. Like, so we are experimenting. The wing spot's one that, as you've said, we've spent a fair bit of time on, but it's one worth talking about because if we do want to take that next step, like, we've won 5 in a row, but I don't think anyone really feels like we've taken like a ginormous step. So yeah, I think it's an interesting talking point, and I think that's one area where we really can take a stride.
This is healthy, open discussion. This is not hate. This is us trying to unpack a point, right? Before we get into the St Kilda game and whatever the rest of this podcast holds, healthy discussion again. I probably didn't have the healthiest discussion. I've been pulled up this past week, Noah, by a Freo AFLW player, former friend of mine, well, still a friend of mine.
Former? Has the friendship just been ended right here?
No, we just haven't hung out in a while, but I'm not even going to name names. If you know, you know. It's not that hard to figure it out. But yeah, we sort of criticised the Freo stuff a lot on the show, saying that the fan base isn't going to adopt it. And this certain Freo AFLW player was like, we made this a thing. The girls made it a thing. And it made me feel like a bit of a twat, Noah. I can't lie.
Oh, you look like a massive twat. It was a horrific look.
Yeah, no, well, it wasn't a good look for the Freo Faithful page, and I do apologise for any harm that it caused. And I rate that the girls have made that a thing. You know, they've loved it, they've adopted it and made it a thing. But as a Fremantle Dockers fan who has been a member of the club for 20 years of my life, I don't think it'll stick. And maybe I was a bit harsh, and the origins of it I didn't consider, but I just thought it was worth addressing that. So I do apologise if that caused any harm to anyone at the club. Or not harm or come across as disrespectful. I just think, from my perspective of a diehard Freo fan that has been to the footy forever, like since I can remember, and, you know, I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, but I've travelled around Europe and been to some of the biggest games in European football, biggest clubs, and I can see what an atmosphere is. What are you doing over there?
Oh,
Why are you
sorry,
kicking
no.
back?
Are you done? Are you done?
What are you doing?
You've been to Europe, have you? What, Amsterdam, London, Manchester?
Yeah, Bayern Munich, Real Madrid.
Hajduk. Yeah.
Yeah, Celtic. Yeah.
Yeah,
Point
keep going.
I'm making,
Sorry.
Noah, you can appreciate this because you're a football fan.
Yeah,
you know what atmosphere is. And Viva La Vida by Coldplay will never be that, is the point I'm making.
Yeah, okay.
So that's where the point comes from me. It's not that I'm hating on, like, oh, the girls made this thing and I don't like it.
I actually agree with you. I think that definitely can be like their thing. Like, I don't think traditions from the AFLW team and the AFL team necessarily need to be interlinked. Like, that's working very well down there. I remember when it was first a thing in the women's team. And they got a lot of social media engagement. The Freo Oval crowd looked like it was buzzing. Like, it looked like a really good thing. But I just think transferring that into a 60,000 seat venue, a fan base that sort of isn't necessarily, or hasn't in the past adapted to these sorts of things. I just think an English band, Coldplay, trying to push it as uniquely Freo.
Coldplay, bro.
Like, if this was a bit of Tame Impala, I could probably get around it. Because Kevin Parker's the #1 ticket holder. They are from Perth. They're Fremantle. Like, it just makes sense. But I just think the fact it's Coldplay, I've got nothing against Coldplay as the people. But pushing it as uniquely Freo is a bit wild.
It is. And look, the reason it was such a success for the women's thing is I feel like it happened organically. Like, it came about naturally. It was like, wow, look at this. The girls are getting around this song. They're singing this song. But, like, when it came in at the start of the year for the men's, it was like Alex Pearce, Hayden Young, and Brayshaw on a podcast.
Oh,
like,
it was a
this
bad
is
watch.
a thing. This is what's going to happen. Hayden Young, can you sing it? It just didn't happen organically. So, look, we've spoke about the Freo in depth on this podcast.
Too in depth, you could say.
And we put it to a vote on our Instagram, and 75% of the fan base didn't like it. So, again, we're going to close out and say no disrespect meant by what we've said and our stance, but I just don't like it personally. Anyway, Noah, we've gone on some massive tangents on this.
What
podcast.
about this? If you told me at the start of the podcast that the two main talking points would be Jeremy Sharp and Coldplay on a Fremantle podcast, just bizarre.
After a win,
we've won 5 in a row, and Jeremy Sharp and Coldplay are the two main talking points.
Yeah, crazy stuff. But I'm interested to see what the fans have to say about this. The fans of Freo and
Luke
the
McFarlane.
community. And Luke McFarlane. Big ups, Luke McFarlane. I wonder if he's ever played Viva La Vida at a pub on his acoustic guitar.
I just don't think he has. It doesn't feel like an acoustic guitar song. It feels like a piano song.
Yeah, fair play. All right, St Kilda this week. Tell you what, Noah. There's 3 teams I hate losing to the most in the AFL. The West Coast Eagles, the Carlton Football Club, and St Kilda. They are my 3. St Kilda are the most plucky side ever. They won't show up one week. Like, they'll look absolutely diabolical and look like they have nothing going for them. Then the next week they'll pump us and make us look like absolute poo-poos. They'll go and lose 7 out of 8, and then they'll beat the D's convincingly. Yeah, how are you feeling heading into this game? I hate playing St Kilda.
It's a yuck matchup as well because it's on a Sunday arvo. Like,
I'm
really.
so glad it's on a Sunday arvo and not prime time though.
Why did they put us on Friday night? Like,
I don't know.
This was 8 weeks ago now. like the game. Why did they do that? Because there was no logic behind it at the time. It's not like both teams heading into the season were going to be the top 4 contenders. This was going to be a grand final preview. There was no reason for it to be on prime time. There was no reason for us to be embarrassed that night. Anyway, another digression. Very happy it's on Sunday, Arvo. And the only thing that matters yet again is getting the 4 points. Because in a game like this, it's just, I've got a disgusting feeling heading into it. 10-day break. Don't get complacent through the week, lads. Just go get the win. It's the Starlight Game. There'll be a good vibe on the day. Like, let's not mess about. It's a game we have to be winning. If we won 6 in a row, then we've got Sydney, Hawthorn and Collingwood to follow. There'll be a bit of confidence heading into that. Not saying we're going to win all 3 of those games. It's very unlikely we will. But confidence is key. And this is the last of the games where any sort of neutral footy fan should be penciling Freo in for a win. I'm not, but we really should be. So let's just win.
You know, like the meme that you see, it's like the cycle of being a Freo fan. Like, we suck, get a unexpected win, build hope, lose the shit team, we suck. I feel like we've had unconvincing win. We're feeling good, and we're there right now. And it feels like in the past, this like cycle, we're at the point where we have the loss. However, having said that, I'm at the peak of the cycle. I'm confident, and I'm confident that we beat St Kilda. They played pretty good against Collingwood on Saturday night, last night. Collingwood just pulled away in that second half, and they're the best team in the competition. So no skin off the back of St Kilda. They've started playing younger players again. They went through a bad form slump, surprise, surprise, since we last played them, where they were playing their older players, and it didn't really work out. So, yeah, I am confident we win, and I hope we do it emphatically, but that Collingwood game, they looked pretty good.
So they've got some young guys in the wings, as you were just mentioning. They are getting games at the moment. And we've got to be careful of it because young, hungry teams are very, very sort of hard prospect to come up against. It's sort of a harder match to prepare for as well, I'd imagine. Like, I wouldn't know, but I'd imagine because not like you've got a massive sample size on this unit playing together. So yeah, matchups can be a little bit tricky. Sort of how to attack them is going to be a bit tricky. Not sure what Ross Lyon's going to bring. It's his first time playing Freo as an opposition coach since like 2010 or whatever. So
At Optus.
Sorry, I was meant to say. Yeah, or in Perth. So yeah, I think Ross is going to bring something very similar to what we saw in round 8. He's going to make it contested. I'd like to think we've improved around the contest since then, but it's not to say they can't get ascendancy on us in that area. St Kilda have struggled this season to back up 2 good performances in a row. And I'd say that their good performance came on the weekend against the Pies. And I think it actually happened earlier in the season as well. I think the week before the West Coast lost, they had a good performance and then went and lost to the Eagles. So, yeah, they're not great at backing up good performances. As I've just mentioned, they've lost at Optus this year to West Coast. So it's not like we're playing a team that's great at the ground. So, yeah, there's no excuses for this one. There was no excuses for the loss in round 8, and there's also no excuses for this one.
That was the title of the preview when we played St Kilda. No excuses. And I went to that game. I was like, yes, we're going to win this for sure. And then I was leaving by 3/4 time. But I think St Kilda have been a very like up, down side this year. We've been sort of like build, disappointing loss, build, disappointing loss. So let's hope that, we don't have a disappointing loss this week and we keep building. I think Brayshaw and Sarong in that game got taught a bit of a lesson. So I think they're going to have a point to prove. I think they're going to be hungry too. I think the Starlight Game is a game that we sort of always turn up for. There's more to play for than just footy, you know, like the cause of Starlight, what goes into it, the amount of effort the club puts into it. It gives the players a bit of perspective on, you know, playing footy isn't the most important thing in the world. Like the things that these kids have to go through is a much bigger battle to fight. So I don't know, it's always good vibes on Starlight Day. They get the Starlight song after goals, way better than Coldplay.
Oh, I forgot about that. The Starlight song's elite. I remember the Melbourne game last year was the Starlight game. We beat them by 50. It was like our best performance of the year. Yeah. And you just had that Starlight game. I think we kicked close to 20 goals that day. Like, it was unreal.
How good is it? Every time a goal goes through, money gets donated to charity. Everyone's bouncing.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, I don't know. Have we ever not showed up in the last couple years on a Sunday arvo at Optus? Do you reckon?
We
lost the Port.
I feel like we
Sydney.
love playing when no one's watching. So yeah. I thought you were about to mention, have we ever not showed up in a Starlight Game? And I remember us getting pants by 90 points to Geelong a few years ago. So
was that in the wet?
Apart from that, was it in the wet? Might have been. I remember it was on a Thursday night. It wasn't a good game. But apart from that, we tend to show up in this game. So hopefully the track record continues.
Yes. So you mentioned before, this is the last game of that stretch that we were speaking about a few weeks ago. North, Essendon and St Kilda at home. If we could chalk those up, we are in a good place. We currently sit 6th on the ladder. I feel like if we split the games coming up against Sydney, Hawthorn, Collingwood, Brisbane and the Dogs, we should make finals. But we need to take a big scalp. I've been pretty pessimistic this podcast, and that's because I feel like we've beaten the teams that we've sort of expected to beat. And we've said throughout the year, we don't hold any fear against any side. So we should take confidence going into these tougher games ahead. And if we are going to be a finals team, you're obviously going to have to face these teams at some point. But I think, we can't lose more than sort of 4 or 5 games in the run home. What are we at now? Round 14, round 15?
Round 16
something like
coming
that.
up.
Round 16 coming up. There you go. So, if you lose more than 4 games, you're going to be right on the brink of the top 8. So we've got to bank this one against St Kilda and, move it on and carry on the momentum. Is it Sydney away the following week?
Yeah, Sydney away, then Hawthorn at home the week after. So, I think after this Saints game is when we're really going to have to... it's not like we haven't been digging in, but we're really going to have to dig deep in the next few weeks following. We've got to chalk up the 4 points on Sunday, and then the tough run comes pretty much going until the end of the season. We've got a nice little 2-week stretch of West Coast and Carlton and Optus, which...
God, Carlton in there.
By the way, I've described that terribly. There's not a nice little 2-week stretch. That is a terrifying little 2-week stretch. But it's a 2-week stretch where, you'd have us as favourites in both. So, for the most part, our draw is very difficult to end the season. This Saints game is going to be one of the last ones where we should be going in as heavy favourites. And we're going to make the most of that. So, I just, for the most part, I hope we get the 4 points and we sort of overcome the mental demons from the round 8 game that we're still all scarred by. In particular, they got under our skin so much that day. Caleb Sarong, he copped the windy tag in round 8. He's going to cop the windy tag again on Sunday, after he did it to Dacos on the weekend. It's a very, very hard tag to work around. So we've just got to... I just hope we've matured since then, and I hope we've sort of bettered our game enough.
Well, Dacos got 30 and a goal on Windhager on the weekend, so he worked through the tag and did really well. Sarong gets tagged most weeks. But that game against St Kilda earlier in the year, the tag got the better of him. So it'll be interesting to see that matchup. You mentioned there that I mentioned all the hard teams in Sydney away, Hawks, Collingwood, Brisbane, the Dogs, Port Adelaide away is never easy as well. But I mentioned before, the 3 teams I hate playing the most are St Kilda, Carlton and West Coast, and they're all still to come. So I think that is just banana peel city, St Kilda and Carlton. We've seen these results over the years. They're as important as any 4 points, and they're a lot sweeter when you get one over Ross Lyon or Carlton when they come. But let's see how we go. Sunday night footy. I'm probably going to be live streaming it, I think. I've got my birthday coming up this week, Noah.
Oh, mint. What day?
Saturday. So I'll be watching.
Beautiful.
I'll be watching Collingwood and West Coast at the pub with all my pals, enjoying it, and Jesse will be sad, which will be great.
That's gonna be a great birthday present, especially Jesse being sad.
Yes. But this will be my second last podcast before I jet off to Europe for 6 weeks as well. Yes, I'm going to Europe again, Noah. Do you want to lean back and be a cheeky little boy?
I will.
Hey?
Yeah, I will. Yeah. I will.
So 2 more podcasts. We'll have the Opera View out with Cardman, my teammate at the Wattle Park Animals. He had a good game on the weekend to preview the Saints game. Noah will have his preview and the teams out throughout the week. Anything you want to close out on, Noah?
Yeah, well, in 2 weeks, you'll be getting the most random guests on the podcast every week. So I'm not sure how I'm going to scrape the podcast each week while Drewz is gone. But get ready to hear some voices you've never heard before over that stretch. I'll try and make do, and hopefully it's a nice period of growth for the channel. I think it'll speak volumes if we hit 1,000 subs while he's away. So yeah, try hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Let's get us to 1,000. We hit 800 in the past week. We just want to keep the growth going, build the biggest Fremantle sort of fan community in the nation, in the state, in the world.
In the world, yes.
But thank you all for watching episode 18 of the Freo Faithful podcast, and we'll see you all next time.